Genetic Opera is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, and it is requested by a new patron, Craig Norrie. Thank you so much for the Patreon donation. It really helps out, and thank you to every patron I have or have had, and people who have donated to this channel for so fucking long now. Some people, and I see people drop out. I don't know why I said people twice there. I see some people drop out here and there, names that I'm familiar with that I see, and I'm like, I get it, man. You gave as much as you could, even if it was $1 one time. It's awesome. Or none dollars at all, and you just support the channel and you watch it. It's cool. But the channel, the Patreon's great, man. You get a little bit here and there, and it just, I don't know, just kind of adds to it a little bit, because it pays for some rentals. It pays for some, equipment stuff. If I need to buy something, this and that, I put that towards that. So it does help out the channel. And I know I can't fucking review a new movie for you guys every month. I wish I could. I just can't. It's just impossible. I would never not be doing Patreon if I did it like that. But anyway, I really, really appreciate it, Craig. And even if this is your only month, I appreciate it. So now this is a film I've seen one other time. And Darren Lynn Bousman has directed 3 musicals now, one being this and the other being the 2 Devil's Carnival movies, which I have not seen. Alleluia, the second Devil's Carnival, but I have seen the first one with Mark Sentner, who's I'm a big fan of, and I quite enjoyed that from my memory of it, and I would like to watch the second one at some point, so hopefully I can double feature those at some point. This is a weird film for me. I've always said that it's a good film. Here's the thing. Okay. So, the film is just very uneven for me. And I think, the storyline, while it's not overly complicated, it does feel like it's not properly conveyed what's going on. To be completely honest, I went to Wikipedia after I watched this to really kind of look into what the fuck was going on here to get some of the finer details worked out. And I was like, oh, that's what's happening. But as I said in my last review, I did watch this at work. I do have people around me talking, so I can't hear everything 100% when I'm watching these things. But I was still kind of confused of who was what and what was what. And but I got it all straightened out now that I read that, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know. I still don't love the story. But so, yeah, you got that, which I think is an issue. Your audience shouldn't be confused in a bad way. Your audience can be mystery confused, where you're stringing them along, and it's ooh, I'm kind of confused what's happening here, but I'm excited. Hopefully it's going to all make sense. That's fine. But this kind of confused, I legitimately don't know what's happening, and the movie ends, and I'm still wait, who was what again? Why did this happen? Why is this person this and that? So that was an issue, and that might just be my issue. I'm not fucking paying close enough attention. So I'll blame myself on that one. Maybe it is illustrated and articulated well in this movie, but I did not see it that way. Number 2, the songs in this movie are hit or miss, big time. I really like all the Grave Robbers songs, and I really like all of Giles' songs. What's his name? Anthony Head. Isn't that what his name is? The actor from Buffy, who plays the Repo Man in this. I liked everything he sang. I really liked all the Grave Robber songs, and anything with Bill Moseley singing or Paul Sorvino or any of that stuff was fucking dreadful. Just dreadful. And another thing, I don't like musicals when they sing every fucking word of the movie. I love musicals when done correctly. I've raved about La La Land on this channel enough. Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Moulin Rouge. I love me some musicals when they're done correctly. Phantom of the Paradise, whatever. I fucking love musicals. But in La La Land, probably 80% of the movie is just straightforward dialogue. When Sebastian and Mia are talking, it's not singing. And there are moments where it does break into song. So I like break into song musicals, not musicals every fucking word spoken in the film has to be sung. Now this film is like 95% sang. Just when they're talking to each other, they're singing it. And they pick some weird motherfucking people to try to sing these songs. As I had said, Bill Moseley cannot sing at all. He's just trying to be Bill Moseley. It's like Chop Top or fucking, Otis Driftwood trying to sing. It's just him talking in Bill Moseley's voice, but singing. And then Paul Sorvino, same thing. It's all that shit to me is just dreadful. I could fast forward through all of it. I can't stand it. So now, and another thing, the film feels and looks cheap to me in a lot of ways. Like it's like trying to look stylistic, but not really landing it that much. That being said, there's a lot of really cool shots in this movie and a lot of really cool looking scenes in this movie. So that's yet again hit or miss. So this movie is just kind of rocky for me. It's all over the place. At the end of the day, I think with a couple more viewings, I completely understand why this would be a cult classic. This is like someone's Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Like what that is to me is this is probably that to them. Some completely overlooked, fucking fantastic, take on the musical, kind of flipping it on its head a little bit, like this one with the horror and the gore. There's some good gore in this. I like some of the disembowelings and the faces being torn off and stuff like that. That looks good. But it's just, there's a lot to look past in order for me to enjoy this. Now, Paris Hilton is in this, and I know a lot of people don't like when she appears in stuff, whether it be this or House of Wax or her little cameo in Cat in the Hat or, whatever. I like her. I like her in House of Wax. I like her in this, and I definitely don't mind watching her dance on the dance floor in Cat in the Hat. She looked pretty fucking hot to me. So, anything that I'm thinking of off the top of my head that she's ever been in, she's been totally fine for me. Like I like her character. She fits the character she's supposed to play in the movie she's in perfectly. Like she's good in this. She's adequate. She had a little record. She had a singing career for like 2 seconds. She released a record, I think, like The Stars Are Blind. Remember, if memory serves, that was like her, hit that I'm sure she paid to make it a hit. And plus, Paris Hilton isn't being asked to extend herself too much with this role, since she's part of the some super ultra rich family, and she's basically like the black sheep of the family, and the father does not want to have her inherit the money and the company, which is exactly what happened, to my memory, to Paris Hilton, in the Hilton estate, and she kind of lost the inheritance and everything. That's what I had heard. Please, as I say, always correct me if I'm wrong. But to my memory, that's how that went, and to see this kind of happen here was interesting. So now this came out around the same time as that Repo Men movie, with who was in that? It was Jude Law and Forrest Whitaker. I think that's correct. And they came out very close together. So it was like two movies about people getting their organs repossessed. And I want to say Michael Bay's The Island came out pretty close to this as well. So a lot of organ harvesting type of movies, pretty closely there together. I might be way off on those dates, but I remember them all being pretty close together. But yeah, so we have that painkiller stuff made from the dead that Paris Hilton's character here gets like addicted to. I don't know, like I just wish that everything was fleshed out a little bit more, and I understood the motives and I understood these kinds of things better. But maybe on like multiple watches, I would like this setup better. It's just on this second watch, but it felt like a first watch. I found myself confused, bored. No, I wasn't bored. There was moments where I was bored, to be honest, with some of those singing parts that I couldn't stand. So I'm glad I rewatched it, though. It is this mixed bag where I think some stuff is great, really cool. Almost feels like a live action Nightmare Before Christmas or something. And for that, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's super cool. That looks rad, whatever. And then I've kind of already harped on my issues with it. So it's kind of like taking me in, taking me out, taking me in, taking me out, and that's tough. That's tough. And you've got Roddy, the big wig, the Paul Sorvino character in this, and he's got like babes with machine guns that cover him and are his bodyguard. That's pretty funny. And I like that the guy takes the body, the grave robber, and he takes the body and he uses it a battering ram to get through a wall. That was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool songs like and some of the lyrics like "My jeans are a bitch." That's very relatable to a lot of people. Like they feel like they hit the. Some people feel like they hit the genetic lottery, and some other people feel like, you know, they came up empty on that one. That they got kind of thrown some scraps, and they're trying to make do with what they got, and that's sad, man. Imagine being built in with that kind of like quote unquote curse of having a body that's failing you and it's really not your fault. That's fucked up. So yeah, I mean, in my research on the film as it went was that Roddy has this terminal illness. He's gonna die. He wants to leave the company to somebody, but doesn't want to leave it to his three kids because they're all a big embarrassment to him. So he's going to leave his company to this 17-year-old girl named Shiloh, who is the daughter of his ex-fiance. And she, of course, wants nothing to do with it. And at the end, she ends up giving it up. And freaking Paris Hilton's character takes over the damn place. But and then Nathan, played by Giles, he was trying to make some kind of drug or cure, I think, and he ended up killing her mom. And then he didn't want his daughter, to go out into the world. So he poisoned her. It's like Munchausen by proxy, or yeah, whatever, however you say that. But is Munchausen only for women? I don't think. No, I think that's for boys too. Right? Doesn't matter. But he's poisoning his fucking daughter to make her, safe, which is very much what happened to like the that Dee Dee girl from The Act, which is just unbelievably awful, and you can't even imagine how horrible people can be. There's a lot of animation in this to kind of like bring us from one scene to the next to tell a story, and this is rarely effective for me. Like I rarely am like I see that and I'm like, oh, that's cool. We're getting animation. Usually it feels like a total fucking cop out, and I'm just like taken out of the movie. So there's yet another like up down up down up down, and some of the animation is all right, but most of it's kind of like, oh, I really wish I was actually seeing this and it wasn't every other fucking scene. If it was maybe once here, once there, I'd be fine with it. Like, the O-Ren Ishii segment in Kill Bill, where it's just like that little 5-minute sequence of her origins and whatnot. I can dig that just because of the style that Quentin brings to it, and some of the visuals and all that. I'm about it, but when it cuts back and forth like this, I just personally am not a big fan of it. And freaking, Nathan in this movie is kind of a piece of shit. I mean, this is how I see it. He's not only poisoning his daughter to keep her basically as like a fucking slave to him, or at least incarcerated. not allowing her to even live a life. It's like, oh, you're so afraid of her dying, but you have no interest in her even living, for real. So, and then he's going around, he's this repo man because this guy is like threatening to expose him, tell him the truth about, tell him the truth of the daughter and all this. But like, he operates on a dude when he's still fucking alive. The dude tells him to kill this guy, and he comes in, he cuts him up, and he kills him, and he cuts his organs out, and then he like immediately like throws the shit away, and he's like, oh, I'm done with this, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's like, you literally just did it. Why didn't you make that decision before you just murdered that guy? Like, let him live. Like, so his character to me is a total asshole. But he sings some damn good songs in here, so I'm alright. I think it's the dad. I think it's Roddy who like cuts a guy open, or it might be Giles. I actually think it's Nathan. So if this is Nathan, which I think it is, yeah, it is. He fucking like cuts a dude open, puts his hand up through him, and puppets his mouth. Dude, that's obviously a job you're not hating. So just yeah, a dreadful person. A dreadful person. I feel no sympathy for the guy when he dies. And the family in this movie is just too over the top for me. Just like the Bill Moseley, the Leatherface looking dude, the dad, the Paris Hilton, all those together. It's just all of them together is too much for me to handle. It's too over the top. It's too like hammy, slapsticky almost, and I don't care for it. And then it's just they're going around and they're killing everyone who works for them. Every motherfucking one. And it's like, who's gonna work for you, and who's gonna stand around, and who's gonna let this happen, and how many people can you get to come and give their life for you and protect you, and you're just gonna kill them right, left, and center. It's just too much. It's too much. Like, just because you can kill everyone doesn't mean you should. So, and I get it. They're trying to show the psychosis of this family and how subservient all these people are to them, because basically they have a monopoly on life. They give you these organs and whatnot, but you have to like lease them. Could you imagine if you had to like lease out or finance your heart, and then you just can't make the payments because the world is corrupt and there's no money, and here come the repo men. The only way that you can make your means is like the graveyard robber who is trying to pay his payments, so he goes and he creates this drug, the Zy something starts with a Z. But yeah, just imagine people coming for your organs if you don't pay for them. Holy shit, man, that's brutal. And I like that Bill Moseley's character keeps changing his shirt. He keeps getting blood on his shirt, and he keeps ripping it off and having another one given to him. I think that's a cute little character moment. Zydrate, that's what it is. Blind Mag looks awesome. Love it, especially when she does like the projector eyes and everything in front of her. She's so cool looking. She's so hot. I like her character a lot. It's probably my favorite thing in the entire film. She's awesome. So big thumbs up to Blind Mag. And so she's a slave to this company with Roddy, and he basically owns her, and she doesn't want to be in someone's puppet anymore, so she cuts her own eyes out, and then she gets herself impaled. We don't get a bunch from her. She has some interactions with Shiloh, but not enough. She's not enough Blind Mag in this movie. But that being said, when she is in the movie, she's rad. She looks rad, and I dig it. So more of her would be fine with me. But yeah, the sound, you have the 17 song in here where she's like rocking, and she's like, I'm 17 and this and that. This reminds me of that Stray Cat song. She's sexy and 17. I don't think that would fly these days. Although the age of consent in like New York and places is 17, and then like in Nevada and other places 16. So it's always interesting when people are like, "Oh, is she 18 at least?" And it's like, that's an interesting thing that we talk about. But like, if you go over to New York, which is actually probably the most popular fucking state in our country, it's 17. This is very, I don't know. It's always been odd to me. They're like, "Oh, is she 18?" I'm like, why is that always the question? I could go down a rabbit hole with that because I just find that to be all so fascinating. Like, you're considered a sexual predator here, but then literally the bordering state, so you could like screw a girl on this side of the border and you're a pedophile, and then you screw her on this side of the border 2 feet to the right and you're like good to go. Huh? Like that kind of stuff is just really weird to me. I'm always fascinated by those kinds of like moral questions. Anyway, and yeah, we were talking about all that stuff. Paris Hilton's character comes out here and she's talking to the crowd, or I'm sorry, she's singing to the crowd, and their fucking face just falls off. Daddy paid for the best surgeons to fix her face, and they couldn't properly suture her face. They couldn't properly like put her face together. Her face is literally just falling off. Real great doctors you have there. I'm surprised everyone's organs aren't failing right and left. So I thought that was pretty stupid. I mean, it's a cool effect, and I get what they're going for in the movie. And this movie is not even trying to stick to any kind of reality world. Like, this is all make-believe nonsense. Nobody would act like this. Nothing would look like this. Nothing would be done like this. Like, it's all fantasy. It's a pure fantasy movie. And the whole, like, she gets booed as her face is kind of falling apart. They boo her off stage. This makes zero sense to me. This is literally an opera to celebrate genetics, like genetic, organs, transplants and plastic surgery, and like that's what they're there for. That's what they're fucking there for. They all, like everyone in the audience, has had plastic surgery, has had, has been under the knife. And so here she comes up, and they know she's had surgery, and she maybe has had surgery recently, and her face starts to fall off, and they fucking boo her off stage. All those people, really? They're not going to get it? Booing, too? That would be such a weird response to someone's face falling off. Could you imagine, like, sitting there talking to somebody, and their face starts to fall off, and you're like, boo! Boo your face falling off, you fucking asshole. Imagine. Holy hell, man. Holy hell. Yeah, so that just doesn't make any sense to me. And the ending just doesn't resonate with me at all. Like Shiloh just kind of, she has her moment with her father. And because I feel like he's such an asshole, he's almost an irredeemable character to me. So to watch them have their little moment, and she's like kind of almost forgiving him, and then she gets up and she just like walks out on the company, and then like no lessons are learned. Paris Hilton, inherits the company, and she sells her face, and her brother buys it on auction to wear it on his. So like, did she get another face? I'm assuming. I don't know how that all works. Yeah, overall, for me, it's so hit and miss. It's so hit and miss. Maybe I'll check it out again eventually. Maybe, after watching Devil's Carnival 1 and 2, I'll want to go back and check this out again, but not for a while. Not for a good while. But, I like the Zydrate song, the graveyard guy, the grave robber, the song he's singing. I like that one. What's your favorite song? Craig, what's your favorite song? I'm assuming you love this movie. I'm sure this is a big fucking film for you, and you adore it. But I'm lukewarm on it. I mean, that's about where I'm at with it. But it's not because I don't like musicals. I do. I love them when they're done the way that I personally prefer them. But this one just doesn't land with me in the way, in enough ways, because I do feel like this is a film I could cherry pick from and be like, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome, I love this, I love the way this looks, I like the style of this stuff, like the whole animated city and all that takes me out of it as well. I just don't like it. It looks so cheap, and it just distracts from the film. This movie had like an $8 million budget, and this is a pretty damn ambitious project for that, so I commend them, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. But overall, I'm kind of just like middle of the road with this film, but I can completely understand people's love for the film. Maybe you just take me more views to get there. I don't know. Anyways, I gotta go to bed. Thank you again, Craig, for the Patreon donation. And if you want to find my Patreon, it's pretty easy to figure out, but hopefully I'll have a link in the description below. Anyways, enough plugging that shit. Thank you, Craig. Good night.